Hello and welcome to my webinar tutorial. This is going to be a specific WebinarJam tutorial. So if you want to get up and running with a live webinar, you already have some of these stuff ready to go. This is going to show you the configuration and how you can get up and running very quickly. If you would like to follow along or simply pick up this live webinar platform software, I will leave my link in the description. And if you click that, you can utilize it to get started. You can even get a $1 trial, which is always a cool thing. Let's begin. So when it comes to this, we can choose the express configuration or the full configuration. Just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to utilize both because they're very straightforward to use. So first and foremost, let's go with the express. It takes literally less than 60 seconds. If it wasn't for me explaining it, it would be even quicker, but allow me to show you. I'm going to click there and then let's go to next. Alright, so you can do three options for this. You can do right now. So if you need to go right now, we're good to go. Let's do this presentation. That's what you're going to want to do. If it's going to be for some time a little bit later, you can do that. Or if you want to always have it on where you can just hop in, do your presentation, go back in anytime you want, that's going to be up to you. For this example, I'll go with right now. And when I do the other configuration, I think I'll go with schedule for later just to change it around. Let's go to next. Alright, and so here we have our webinar name. Keep in mind this is going to be a private title. It's just for you so that you know exactly what webinar this is going to be. This is going to be the title that everyone sees. I just put the title in the description the same here. Probably make it a little bit more attractive, like how to set up your first webinar, even if you're not familiar with webinar software, even if you haven't done it before. That would be the same thing as saying your first webinar, but whatever that's going to be, you can choose to put that there. Let's click on save and we're pretty much done. And like I said, we are done with that. If I didn't explain that, that would have been very quick. But let's go to finish. I'm going to show you what the webinar room looks like. This is where you can get a good idea of everything that's going to be going on. What's also good with WebinarJam is I keep the tutorials up so you can see them. So when you actually get to the room, it's going to showcase the main, buttons that you can click. So if you need help with this or that, it's going to show you. Let's click on finish and let's go to the actual webinar. All right, so for this, we can do run a test just to show you. All right, so as you can see here, we have multiple links that we can choose from. This is going to be for the attendees. So if you want to send this to them, which you're probably going to want to do where they can register, you can do that. If you want to embed it in your website, there's going to be a code for that where you can choose which one you want to use. And if you want to just go direct link to the live room, pretty much just go straight there, bypassing the registration process, that's what you can do. So if you're going to be a presenter, this is what you can use. So this is what I'm going to use as an example here. So if there's moderators on your team, you can use that and give that to them. But seeing this is going to be, we're going to be the presenter, I'm just going to open this up and show you how it works. There's also going to be the links for the replay as well. All right, so keep in mind, I'm just going to give it a second because right when it starts, if I talk over it, there's going to be some echo. So what I'm going to do is just, give it a few seconds. And once I get to the live broadcast room, we'll talk about it and go over what you can expect. All right, so here we are in the live room. And what's good about this, as it showcases on the screen, it says, welcome to the live room. Here's where the magic happens. We're going to show some of the features. I like keeping this on. I think it's a good idea. Once it goes through, it has the ability to remove like this mini tutorial. If you're new to it, just keep it on. It'll help you kind of walk you through the process. But nevertheless, it's fairly straightforward. All the things that you can utilize in here are going to have buttons for. So in case you do want to use those, click on it. It'll give you the steps overall. So let's click on start here. These are the main controls that allow you to turn on or off your webcam, sound, share your screen, or use a whiteboard. So for example, I'm just showing me at this time. When I do my presentations, or at least that I've always done, has been using like a presentation, a slide deck, something like that, right? Unless you want to do the live version, it's really up to you. But we can go to next here. This is the video area, obviously, that you broadcast to your attendees, in case it wasn't obvious enough. We have the sidebar menu, contains all of your tools for the webinar and for interacting with your audience. Okay, so next. And we are almost done. Try all the options you want. And remember that by clicking on the phone icon, you will launch your webinar and go live. And we can do next and do close. Like I said, probably just keep that up in the beginning in case you're not familiar with it yet. This is also going to be the panic button. This is cool because what happens if something goes wrong, whatever it may be, you can simply click on that. What it's going to do is just like take your webinar and just put it in another one. It's kind of like refreshing or resetting it. So if anything happens, that's a great way to kind of get things back up and running very quickly because that can be very important. It happens with every webinar. If you do many of them for long enough, there's going to be problems. It's just the way it works. Like if your internet goes on and off, whatever it's going to be, panic button is going to be there to help you. So just hovering over, as you can see, we can turn video on or off. We can turn the audio on or off. We have background effects. We have the screen share. And of course, we have the whiteboard in case you want to utilize that. So a lot of the important things are going to be just right over here. We have our settings. We can enable chat, so you can allow both public and private messages, and you can do all messages are public, all are private, or allow both public and private messages. So it's really up to you what you want to do there. You know, if you got a good amount of people on there and you want to get the energy going, you could probably keep those live, or you could, keep them public if you want. Display number of attendees. Attendees may request to speak. So that'll be right here where they kind of just raise their hand, right? And if you want to change the design, we can go right here. We have some other ones that you can utilize, and you can change around the colors. I'm just going to go with this. A lot of the aesthetic stuff is obviously going to be more on like if you like this color or not. So I'm not going to go too crazy with that. Here's going to be the attendees. Obviously nothing's going on here. It's just me and you, or just me on this, right? So we have chat. Don't be shy. Start chatting. If people are going to be asking questions, that's where those can go. We have polls. So if you want to add a new poll, you can do that. So question, option, answer. What's the number one thing that you want to get out of this webinar? What's the biggest problem that you're having with your online business right now? How do you think webinars are going to be able to help you with your online business? Whatever it is, you can obviously do that, and you can display the results at the end of the poll if you want to do that. Offers is going to be very important. In case you're not familiar with webinars as much, usually the main structure is going to be a lot of value. Then that leads into a course at the end. It's not always a course. It could be, say, for a coaching call, right? You send them to a link. They take them to a form where they can fill it out, the best calendar date for them. Then they speak with someone to see if coaching is going to be a good fit, whether it's clients, consulting, whatever it's going to be, right? So that's why this is important. Once again, very easy to set up. We have the name of it, we have the headline, we have the image in case that's something you're going to be using. We have the message above the button, text within the button, and the button URL. So what you can do is set this up, and whenever it goes live, you can obviously drop that to say this is where you can go pick it up. Simply click that button. Instead of saying like go to www.long URL, it's much easier when your visitors on the webinar, your listeners, obviously, can just click a button instead of going somewhere. So videos, in case you want to do that, what you can do is add in a video. This is cool because for example, if you're going, say on a webinar, you can have a video go through, stop, and then you continue on with your actual presentation. So files, in case you want to add a file here. So why might you want to use a file? For example, if you've been on webinars before, what happens is they'll say in the beginning, if you stay to the end, you're going to be getting this free gift. I'm going to give you like my webinar templates that you can utilize to run your first webinar. So if you stay to the end, I'm going to give that to you, my way of saying thank you. And what you can do, this is where you upload that file. So in case you have any files you want to give, that's going to be that. So here's going to be the presentation in case you want to add this here. For example, valid formats are going to be PPT, PPTX, Keynote, and PDF. So this is going to want to be where you're going to be uploading your files in case you want to do like that slide deck, that slideshow presentation. Speak in case someone raises their hand, right? And of course, agenda in case you want to add some notes to that. What are you going to be doing on this webinar? It's kind of just like a note, in case you want, you can always go here. The agenda is shared between there we go, all presenters. So something to keep in mind. It gives them an idea of what's going to be happening on the webinar. So up to you. And that's going to be the basics of it. Obviously, we have off air. This is going to be room expiration. You have 60 minutes. This is where we go live, as we talked about. And that's pretty much going to be the overview of the live presentation room. So the cool thing about it is that a lot of the features are going to just be like click on it, edit it, upload it, and then do your thing, right? So that's going to be that. Let's go back into the WebinarJam software, and it'll show you how to not only just get up and running under 60 seconds, we can do the other configuration that's going to take a little bit longer, not too long, like under 10 minutes, but it's much more customizable, so you can add more features that are really going to benefit you, and so on and so forth. So let's go back. Nice seeing you, and we'll continue on via audio only. All right, so here we are. We have a full configuration now. It says takes about 10 minutes, flexible and powerful based on your custom settings. We got it. Let's click on next. And for this one, let's do schedule for later just to change it up a little. Since we did right now, we know how that works. Let's go with this and next. All right, so this is going to look very familiar. So once again, we have our basic settings, the super webinar, right? So this one's just going to be called How to Launch Your Digital Ebook Business. So need help getting started selling ebooks? You can start here. You're going to notice we have a thumbnail here, and I've done a few videos when it comes to like WebinarJam and EverWebinar. That's going to be their automated platform. So the same thing I usually say is that anything that says like upload an image, I'm just going to skip past. Obviously, you click on it, you upload your image. Not too much to talk about there, but what I do want to talk is that when you're going through WebinarJam and you're doing more of a customizable webinar setup, what you want to do is simply go through each section, add the stuff in, and click on Save. From there, you're going to go down here, and then once you're done, you click on Next. So all you're doing is going through the steps. We're on configuration now. Once we fill out this stuff, we go to Schedules, and we go to Registration, Notifications, and so on and so forth. So that's all we're doing. Let's do the webinar presenters. All right, there's me. Looks good. If you want to add a moderator or a presenter, you can do that. Let's just click on save. And we have our streaming service. So with this, probably just go with WebinarJam Live. There is the ability to use YouTube Live or Facebook Live. That's going to be up to you, but in case you want to choose those, you can. Let's click on save and go with next. All right, so when it comes to the webinar schedule, that's why I chose this one since there's a little bit more flexibility. So we can do one single session. The registration box will display one or many scheduled events, and your users will register to only one of them at a time. Then we have multiple sessions. The registration box will display multiple scheduled events, and your users will register to all of them from a single signup. Probably don't want to do that. I mean, it's a little crazy if you're signing up to too many. I think one single session. Then, of course, we have recurring if needed. So here's what you can do with this. We have on specific date. Let's just go deep into the future. Why not? Let's go to my birthday, 2026. You don't have to send me a present, but we're just going at that time, okay? And let's say we're going to be doing it at 11 a.m. and time zone for this, Eastern. Okay, so allow time zone conversion. So keep this in mind. I do recommend this as it says, this will allow your visitors to convert your configured time zone to theirs, so it's more convenient for them. However, this may turn this option off, and therefore all times will always be displayed at like 11 a.m. So I recommend keeping this on because 11 a.m. in, say, I'm in Florida compared to, say, Australia is a very big difference. I know this because I went to Australia a few years back, and just trying to like call back home or like catch up was very tough because there's very minimal time where we're both awake and it's a good time. So that's something to keep in mind. So I would recommend keeping that on. You don't have to, but let's say we went with add. I'm just going to say it's going to be the one timer, right? Let's click on save. You can do other times, but let's just keep it at that and go with next. All right, so we have a registration. This is where we can kind of change around our registration page. Fairly straightforward. Okay, I'm just going to go with one here. And like I always talk about, I love simple landing pages. I think the less on it, the better. It's less to edit, less to split test in case you do want to do that. But let's go with this one and customize. And for the registration bar, as you can see right here, this is the registration page. So this is where they go to enter in their information. I personally like this one right here, where it's just going to be a button and they can click on it. I like this one and this one, but aside from an embeddable form, you can do that. And there's going to be a bubble, which I think is a little bit smaller. So I'd recommend one of those two. Let's go with Launch Builder. All right, so fairly straightforward. What you want to do is click where you want to edit and click on the pencil. Okay, so just put something simple. If you're looking to get started with your digital ebook business, then this is where you want to be. I admit, not the greatest copy in the world. Probably want to add something a little bit more beneficial. Like you could certainly add bullets and so on and so forth. I just want to showcase you how this works so you get an idea of it. But what we can do here is do save and exit. Everything else you don't really need to edit since you've done it before. And the same with this. We will do that in another section. So anyway, let's just do save and exit. We can preview it at the end. And save as always. We have our registration form fields, so I think this is going to be perfect. These are mandatory anyway. You can use last name and phone number unless you really need a phone number where you're actually calling, say for like coaching calls or texting, whatever is going to be. Same with last name. Unless you have to use them, I wouldn't recommend using it. The fewer form fields that you have, the more signups you're going to get. Just think about it. If you have these two here and then you have 10 of them, someone's going to look at it and say, I don't want to enter in all that information. So ideally, the more you have, the less chances you're going to convert is high. So I think these two are fine. Auto subscribe to future webinars. So disable auto subscription or enable it. I'd personally just disable it. If you have a new one, they can always have them sign up as well, but it is an option. You can do free versus paid. You can do notifications. So this is simply going to be whenever someone signs up. And if you want to password protect it, you can do that. I'm not going to actually go through those. Very straightforward. Like if you want to password protect it, just go on there and add the password. Let's click on next. All right, so here we have our email gateways. It's pretty straightforward. For this, I do want to use WebinarJam Mail. If you do want to integrate with some of the bigger autoresponders, say like GetResponse or anything else related to that, you can do that by setting it up. But I like this because it allows WebinarJam to send some of the notifications as well. And I think that's very important. Allow me to show you how that works. All right, so for this, we have our pre-webinar notifications. Anytime someone sends their email in or gives you their email to sign up for the webinar, they're going to be getting an email immediately, okay? Aside from that, you can choose to do pre-webinar reminders, so it really depends on when that's going to be going out, but I think these are the two very important ones. So immediately, and then 15 minutes before. If you really set a webinar where it's going to be like a week in advance, it'd probably be a good thing to send one from like a day before, right? So you can add one there if you want, and this one's going to be 15 before. You also have post-webinar notifications. So for this, you can follow up with them. They hand them the link to the webinar replay in case they missed it. So if you do have that, you can simply go here, go to add email, And if you do want to add this, the cool thing about this and all the emails, they're pretty much all going to be set. You don't need to change around this. This is auto going to be the title, the date, the time, the presenter, and it's going to have the links. And if there is a password, it's going to be there. But if we don't, it's not going to. I'm just going to click cancel. But if you want to do that, that's how it's done. Let's save it and go to the next one. All right, and here we are with the email autoresponders integration. Once again, it's simply usually coming to click on it, adding your API, and I'm glad it came up to this so you can see some of the integrations. In case you didn't know, Genesis Digital owns WebinarJam and EverWebinar. They also own Kartra, so they do all integrate together. And we have Aweber, ActiveCampaign, Keep, iContact, and a bunch of others, as you can see. In case yours isn't there, what you can always do is use Zapier with it, which they're like a way of integrating with any other, email autoresponder out there. They're very flexible that way, so that's how you can do that. We also have third-party tracking systems. This is like, say, if you have Facebook pixels or anything related to that, Google Analytics, that's where you can add those in. So we have our default versus custom confirmation page. So if you want to use your own, you can put it here and simply add your link in, but I'm just going to go with the confirmation page that they give us. On this confirmation page, if you want to survey your registrants, you can do that. Fairly straightforward. Yes, we want to do that. We can add our question, whether it's going to be only one answer, multiple answers, a short answer, or a long answer if you wanted to set up. So let's just go with no there. And we have our thank you page design. Not a whole lot going on here. I'm just going to showcase this very quickly because it's the same thing as creating your registration pages. So the first one was simple. This one is going to be the same way. So we have our title here, hosted by James. This is going to be the time. That's not editable. It's just a random example, right? And we're going to have the link right there. So looks pretty good. Let's go back and let's go to next. All right, and here's where we're going to get a lot of like the cool bells and whistles in case you really want to enhance your live presentation. You have agenda where you can organize your webinar agenda to measure your times and the topics you want to cover. Your agenda will be visible for your reference throughout the whole webinar. So if you want to plan that out, you can using AI. Personally, I'd rather, if I knew what my agenda was going to be, I can do it myself and leave notes. So that's going to be up to you in case you want to save time. We do have autoplay, so it's going to be like when someone comes in, this will not be played until the users decide to click on play, or it'll be autoplay and muted. I like this one where they can just click on it. And as you can see, this is what it's going to look like, where there's going to be a play button. In case you want to use that, we can preview this, right? So it's going to look something like that. I think that looks fine. Let's go with save. We have our countdown page design. So once someone signs up and they click on the link, eventually say in their email, this is going to be like how much time is left until it actually starts. Same thing, business as usual. This is all the same landing page stuff. So I'm just going to click on save here. We haven't seen anything different there. We have our live room design. Once again, this is more aesthetics. So in case you want to choose that and customize that, there's going to be some theme colors and previews that you can do if you want right there. Polls and quizzes, same thing. Once again, add a new poll. We went over this in the actual live presentation room, so you can actually do these product offers. Video injections, this is what I talked about before. They sum it up very good, so what I'm going to do is actually read this so you get an idea of how it works. So it says, video injections allow you to play a video clip midway through your presentation. The system will seamlessly switch from your live video audio signal to the video signal and back to the live video when it is over. Pre-configure your video injections so you can play them at any time during your live broadcast with a click of a button. So that's pretty cool. Like if I was talking to you on that live webinar presentation, I can click a button. Let's go to that video, say it's a testimonial, then it goes right back to where I was. So if you have that ahead of time, you can do that. And of course, as we talked about on the actual live presentation, you have handouts, maybe you're giving out notes or something for someone who's staying till the end, you can do that. And we have our slide presentations as well. Let's go to next. Webinar replay recording. So if you want to enable this or disable it, up to you. So if you want to say there's not going to be a replay, that is a great way to get more people on because, they get one time to see it. But of course, if you do want to access to the replay page, you can do that. I'm just going to go with save here. And now that we've done that, there's going to be some other things that you can change around. So like webinar replay contents, what you can do is replica replay, you can do custom video or redirect to an external URL. So this one's probably going to be good. So it says an exact replication of your live session. All the chat lines, surveys, product offers, etc. will be mimicked second by second, exactly what happened during the original session. So that says that's preferred if you want to keep the replay as close to the live experience as possible. You're going to be telling people that it's a replay anyway, so that's obviously a good thing. So I'd probably go with that one there. Replay controls. So no, do not allow the user to use the playback controls, or yes, allow them. That's really going to be up to you if you want to showcase the controls or not. We have the replay page expiration date. This is always cool. So we can do set an expiration date, say, 24 hours after the live session goes, or just say like, I don't know, 100 just off the top of my head in case you want to do that. And allow users to submit questions. Of course, you can always do that if you want. And I just put an email in there. Obviously, that's where they're going to go. And next. And just like that, that obviously took a little bit longer. Well, way longer considering the fact the first one was 30 seconds. But this can really help you get up and running more efficiently to have like all the stuff you need. Anyway, let's go to dashboard and I'll show you what the registration page looks like and so on and so forth. All right, so how to launch your digital ebook business. This is what it's going to look like when you give the link to someone. Of course, you can always make this more complex, have more benefits. This is just like kind of a dummy page, but let's click on register. All right, and remember what we have is going to be the host, the name, and of course, this is going to be the main title. That's why you want to make it something good. There's only going to be that one time. Am I going to see you in the future at 2026? We will see. Okay, so Eastern time, we have the first name, just a random email, and let's do register now. And there we are. So how to launch your digital ebook business. This is going to be the thank you page or the confirmation page. And what happens is if someone goes here, I'm going to show you, this is going to be like you have X amount of days, or in this case, like a year plus, right? So let's click on this. All right, there we go. 610 days, 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 38 seconds, but who is counting? So nevertheless, that's going to be my webinar tutorial or my live webinar tutorial using WebinarJam. I hope this helped you out in terms of getting up and running. For this, pretty much you're just going to need to know like what you're going to be talking about if you have an offer, maybe some slide presentations and so on and so forth. But once you have that stuff set up, this is going to be the process for utilizing software and of course editing it around, changing it around to your liking so that maybe it matches your brand, your voice, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will do my best to help. And the last thing, if you haven't gotten to test out WebinarJam, I will leave my link in the description in case you haven't gotten to follow along already. You can always go back, watch this video from the beginning, and follow along when using WebinarJam. My name is James. I hope you enjoyed this webinar tutorial, and I will see you in my next video.